Hello boys and girls. Today we are looking at a old ADM motherboard. Now, it's very obvious that it's ADM because, well, ADMs have this particular design here. Now, this computer does not work, but it was, it's technically a old, cheap gaming PC, because as you can see here, this motherboard is an early micro XT board, because you see there's no card slots here. It has the a built-in low-end NVIDIA graphics card. And it has very old DDR RAM, and they're only, I can show you here, see, yeah, if the damn thing will focus. Right. So basically, it's Kingston value RAM. There's only 250 megabytes of DDR, which is very slow RAM, and any type of RAM that is only 1 gig or less does not sell well. So these are basically scrap for a, maybe a crappy computer I'll get in the future that uses this RAM and needs more. But it's likely that it will wind up in the trash or sold for, very little on eBay. But what I was gonna do here, show you now. I can't determine exactly why this computer died. It's common with ADM motherboards, because they're really crappy and made in China, that the CMOS goes bad. And I've tried, here with the CMOS jumper, I've tried resetting the CMOS. It did not work. But as you can see, the thermal paste is all dry on these heat sinks. So when your thermal paste dries, your heat sink and your fan doesn't do one damn bit of good, because the heat is not properly transferring. As you can see, it has a very glorified fan inside of it. I mean, it's nothing fancy, it's just a fan. It's just a, larger fan. But back in the day, it would have been considered really cool. But anyway, guys, be patient when we take this heatsink off, and I can show you the CPU. This isn't. Let's see here. Turn this beast around, and it will tell us. Okay, at ADM Live. Okay. And you can see how old it is. So, designed for Windows XP. And look, this is horrifying. Windows Vista compatible. Oh shit. I mean, if you want your ADM motherboard to break even faster than it already does, put Windows Vista on it. Then you have Windows Vista is great for turning any PC into a crappy computer, regardless of what its specs are. Because Windows Vista does not support hardware acceleration. It is slow. I mean, extremely slow. And it is basically the pit of computer hell. Once I get this thing off, I'll show you the CPU. Trying to keep the video short, but I'm doing, it might go on a little bit. as you can see, this thermal paste is dry. Dry as a bone. And all we gotta do to take this CPU out is like this. I hope it'll come out, because see here, the in for the north bridge. Sorry guys. I hope you guys can see the in here for north bridge. Well, it won't focus on the in, but there's an in right here for the north bridge. And here we have the GPU, so you could say that ADM made Micro XT popular. You can see this is obviously an ADM board, not an Intel board. Well, there you have it. And, well, it's just an old computer. And it's a dual-core processor, but very low-end dual-core processor. Nowhere near, regardless of clock rate and stuff, it's nowhere near like a, Sandy Bridge, Pentium or Celeron dual-core, or a quad-core Celeron or Pentium Bay Trail, which I have right here. This is the Celeron Bay Trail. Basically, 2.4 max clock rate, octa-core on 22 nanometer technology, and it's what makes it different than the previous. It's basically the this computer now is hard to find because it just disappeared from. Well, I can't find it anymore on Acer's website, which means that all the Celeron nerds probably bought all of the other computers here, but basically it replaces the last gen of budget Intel CPUs, because on default is actually when you're doing like what the computer is doing now, the clock rate is underclocked at about 1.5 gigahertz, and then it will automatically switches to via Intel Boost technology, it'll switch to anywhere from 2 to 2.6 gigahertz, depending on which CPU it is. But the J1900 goes from 1.5 or 1999 megahertz to 2.4 gigahertz as soon as you start a game or anything that is processor intense. But you can compare this type of CPU to something like an Athlon, or the early dual-core Athlons are basically built on old P3 type technology, like similar to the Celeron 404, which is a 45 nanometer single core built on Pentium 3 architecture. This is just a basic. Would actually be identical to that Celeron. I mean, I've showed you that processor in one of my videos I did 2 years ago with that laptop that basically overheated. And this processor is almost identical in terms of architecture. It's just a dual core. And in its life, it did run very slow. Now, the hard drive, this is actually my grandpa's computer, and he thought the hard drive had died. So I was going to put a ghost drive in it, or basically going to put a flash drive in order to run Ubuntu via Linux installer, and then put in a second flash drive to save it on. But the hard drive was perfect, because normally when a hard drive is bad, it makes a very particular type sound. But yeah, well, one thing you always want to remember, see, this is a mistake right here. You see this, your DVD or disk or any type of disk drive should not be connected to the, farthest connector on this ribbon cable. It should always be on the one next to the farthest. That tells the motherboard that this is a slave, and if you don't have this configured right, it can mess up your CMOS, cause USB to malfunction. And a lot of times with a micro XT board like I have on this computer, you have to reset the CMOS in order to correct any drive issues, because it doesn't have these multiple connectors on the ribbon cable. It uses, like I said before, laptop-like connectors. So I will be marking these, everything in this inside these connectors. I will be marking, as well as these USB ports, because you never want to, for example, take out this keyboard and put in a camera and then connect your phone and then put in a printer, because that will mess up your connecting too much to one USB port, or too many different devices to one USB port will completely fuck over your CMOS. So you never want to do that. I mean, if you're going to use multiple devices, do it on, only do it for stuff like mass storage devices. For example, I have these USB powered speakers, and I have it running on the 3.0 USB, which is I use it as a mass storage USB, and I also interchange that speaker USB with flash drives and connecting my phone for using Foxfire. So basically, it's a charge only and mass storage type connector, which is perfectly fine to put different types of flash drives and USB hard drives on, interchange them on the same USB. You still want to put different types of devices, like this camera is always connected to the same USB port here. Well, no, that's the 3.0 USB, but camera is always connected up here to avoid any issues. And well, these speakers, I never did a review of these speakers, but they don't work on phones. They only work on computers, because I tried it on the phone and it didn't work. But they're really, really good speakers, though. But the one thing that I hate, eventually I'm going to try to find a replacement case that looks better, because I don't like this, this computer is built, I'll show you. See, it's built like a computer that's supposed to be, horizontal, because see, this disk drive comes out like this, and that's the way the motherboard is. The motherboard lays on this side, the hard drive and the disk drive, so it really should be laying, flat, but they made it stand up like a tower to make it look cool, kind of like a PS2 or any or PS2, PS3, or PS4. They always have that gimmick. But that's all for today, computer nerds. I'll see you guys later. Bye bye.